So, once upon a time, there was a wonderful dance teacher at ASU by the name of Marion Jones. And she inspired an inspiring student by the name of Renee Davis. And Renee Davis, she asked her, why not do research on Harriet Tubman and create a ballet? And so Renee took her at her word and did this research. But Renee had a little special gift. She had, as a godfather, a man by the name of John Anthony, who was a specialist in Negro spirituals. And so between Marion and Renee and John, they created what is known as Sister Moses, the story of Harriet Tubman, that I'm going to do excerpts from today. Now usually this is housed at with a company called the Desert Dance Theater that has 40 dancers, a string quartet, a vocal quartet, a master percussionist, and me. Needless to say, I will not be covering all the parts. And we just celebrated our 25th anniversary. I will tell you now that you may hear a few snipples from me and whatever, just disregard it. And we will go from here. Are you ready? Yes. So choir, if you'll echo me, it's only 4 parts, and I mean, it's not 4 parts, it's only 4 times. And it's this. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. The Lord told Moses what to do, let my people go. To sing the people of Israel through, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Slavery. Well, now, slavery was a time in American history when one man could own another man, could own another woman, could own another child, beat him, barely feed him in clothing, work him in the fields, breed him like an animal, and then separate him from his family and then sell him for a profit. Slavery was an awful time. The slave owners were even passed laws to keep the slaves from communicating with each other. The owners, you see, were always afraid that the slaves would rise up and fight back. They tried to make the church believe, the slaves believe, that the black church was a den to hatchet plots against the master. They tried to make the slaves believe that God wanted them to be good servants, but the slaves knew better. Because they knew Jesus, the deliverer. They knew Jesus, the liberator. I want Jesus to walk with me. I want Jesus to walk with me on this pilgrim journey. I want Jesus to walk with me. They heard the messages of deliverance, and they saw themselves like the Israelites that Moses had led out of Egypt. The songs they sang became a secret way of communicating, so that only other slaves would know the real meaning of the words. In 1831, Nat Turner led 75 slaves in rebellion, but it was not successful. He was later killed, and the laws became even stricter for the slaves, with no drumming, no singing of any song that talked of freedom, and no congregating. Well, with no one to lead them, It seemed like a hopeless and degrading experience, but you know, no matter how things get so hard, sometimes you still have to have something to, to make you feel better. So the slaves would holler as they're working, "Going to see Jenny tonight. Going to see Jenny tonight." Now that means that the slaves were going to have a dance tonight. They watch Massa up in the big house, and he'd have these grand parties. Well, the slaves would go and have parties too. They say, "Oh, Massa ain't care how much we dance, but all that old overseer, Lord, if he catch us, he kill us." Massa sleeps on fair bed, slaves gonna sleep on the floor. When we get to heaven, there'll be no slaves no more, no more, no more. And they'd sing and dance late into the night, but all day long and every day, those cotton fields, those tobacco fields, those cornfields stretched as far as the eye could see. And the slaves would be out there picking it from sunup to sundown. Got to keep going. Don't slow down. Faster, faster, faster. Oh, Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lord, pick a bale of day. Oh, Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lord, pick a bale a day. And the overseer would come and he'd go, "Oh, Lord, pick a bale of cotton. Oh, Lord, pick a bale a day. Me and my wife's gonna pick a bale of cotton. Me and my wife's gonna pick a bale a day. Me and my wife's gonna pick." And you can imagine as the pace went on, it got faster and they got tired. And there were times when they couldn't keep up or wouldn't keep up with the pace, of the master would whip them and beat them, and then you wouldn't see that person anymore. And they'd say, "Another man done gone. Another man done gone." Now slaves who wouldn't keep up with the pace of the speed were auctioned off. They were sold south to work on the southern cotton plantations, where the story said the slaves were treated worse than animals. 2 of Harriet's sisters were sold off these chain gangs, off the auction block. Now you have to understand that the auction block was a place in the city that was a gathering place. You'd see children playing with marbles and gathering around the stage, and you'd see signs put up, "Slaves, bucks, for sale." And you'd see women coming in their parasols and gentlemen in their daily attire to ascertain what the stock was going to look like. And you'd hear him say, "Auctioneer, bring that young girl over here. She looked like a good breeder. Come on, gentlemen, take a look at her. As you see, you're gonna want her. Her mama was a Dahomey queen. So somebody open the bid. 250, 250, 250, 250, 250, 250, 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, 300, 350, 350, 350, 350, 350, 375, 350, 350, 350, sold." In one of these auctions, there was an incident and Harriet got hit. And it set up a condition for her that she'd have all of her life. Narcolepsy. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I never knew when I might fall down unconscious. During these fainting
in spells, I'd often dream about flying over cotton fields and cornfields. I came to a mountain and I flew over that. At last I reached a barrier I could not fly over. And it appeared that I wouldn't have the strength, and just as I was sinking down, there'd be these ladies all dressed in white over there, and they put out their arms and pulled me across. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming forth to carry me on a band of angels coming after me, coming forth to carry me. Never closed my eyes that I didn't imagine I saw the horsemen coming, or heard the screams of women and children as they're being dragged away to a far worse slavery than we were enduring that. And when I discovered that I too had been sold, I rebelled. No more action block for me. No more, no more, no more action block for me. Any thousand there was one of two things I had a right to: liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. But no man should take me alive. I should fight for my liberty so long as my strength lasted. And when the time came for me to go, the Lord would let him take me. Harriet pursued freedom. And with the help of free blacks in the North, and the Quakers, and the Society of Friends, and Indians, and Irish, they helped to establish the Underground Railroad. Now, escaping slaves would travel from one refuge to another. And there would be helpers at great risk to themselves who would give the slaves money and clothing and shelter before conducting them to the next station. Harriet Tubman traveled this Underground Railroad to freedom. Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom over me! And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free, so free. Can't you hear, can't you hear those freedom bells ringing? Can't you hear, can't you hear, can't you hear those freedom bells ringing? Can't you hear those freedom bells ringing? Saying, I want my freedom. Want my freedom right now. crossed that line, I had to look at my hands to see if I was the same person now that I was free. There was such a glory over everything, and the sun coming up like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven. She got free, but she didn't stop there, because when she crossed that line, well, she was lonely and sad. She missed her family and friends. There was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land of home, after all, down in old cabin quarters with the old folks and my brothers and sisters. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Long way from home. Long, long way from to this solemn resolution I came. I was free, and they should be free also. I would make a home for them in the north, and the Lord helping me, I bring them all there. Oh, dear Lord, I ain't got no friend but you. Please come to my aid. Harriet Tubman learned the escape routes around the fugitive slave hunters. She learned how to disguise herself. She learned how to use slave songs as signals. She used the North Star as a compass to survive in the wilderness, and she went back to the north, south, saying, I must go down like Moses into Egypt and lead them out. Lord, I couldn't hear nobody pray. Couldn't hear nobody pray. Lord, way down yonder by myself, and I couldn't hear nobody pray. Couldn't hear nobody pray. Couldn't hear nobody pray. Oh, way down yonder by myself, and I couldn't hear nobody pray. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet, Lord, while I run this race. Guide my feet, Lord, while I run this race. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain. Oh, Lord, hold my hand, Lord. While I run, I got to run, Lord. Hold my hand, Lord. While I run, I got to run, Lord. Hold my hand, Lord. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. So they pass, she passed along and sing these songs. And folks knew it was time to get ready to go. Steal away home, and got long to stay. And they begin through the woods, through towns, back places, along the riverbed. Harriet Tubman made 19 trips south. She brought 330 slaves as far north as Canada. Can't you hear, those freedom bells ringing? Can't you hear, those freedom bells ringing? Can't you hear, those freedom bells ringing? Saying I want my freedom, want my freedom, right now. Harriet, she seemed never to be afraid, even when there was a $40,000 reward for her capture. Harriet Tubman the nurse, Harriet Tubman the spy for the Union Army, Harriet Tubman, America's first liberated woman. The spirit of this woman shall never die. It lives on in many in the works of Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Rosa and all those who fight for liberty for all people. You suppose the Lord wanted me to do this just for a day or a week? Oh, no. The Lord who told me to take care of my people made me to do it so long as I live and I done done what he told me to do. Lord, I keep so busy praising my Jesus. Keep so busy praising my Jesus. Keep so busy praising my Jesus. Ain't got time to die. When I'm healing the sick, I'm praising. When I'm healing the sick, I'm praising my Jesus. Healing the sick, I'm praising my Jesus. Ain't got time to die. Kind of sort of okay? Yeah. There you go. I hope my timing was okay with you.
So what would be one thing that from Harriet Tubman we need to know for today to continue the fight for freedom, for liberation from oppression?
Just remember this, that it really doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. There is one race. It is the human race. And there is one spirit. And that is the Spirit of God that lives in us all. That Spirit of God tells you what is right, what is highest, and what is best. It talks to everybody all the time. It's just a matter of who's listening and who will follow. Trust your heart. For the presence of God is there. and look to Jesus, Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith.